Let's say you've recently made a resolution to learn a new language or to improve your skills, and you want to start on a 100-day challenge. But whatever app you're using just feels designed to keep your attention, and you don't feel any progress in the 10 minutes you're spending with it each day. Or even if you're learning something from the textbook you're working with, it's just boring. I analyzed transcripts from 1,100 videos and podcasts in my target language to come up with the following. Here are 3 straightforward paths for how to use YouTube and podcasts in your target language to learn around 1,500 words in just 100 days. Learning that many words would lay a solid foundation for understanding conversation and content and would bring you to a solid A2 level. As you try to learn a language, content in that language is one of the best resources you have according to both research and experience. This is an extension of the widely known input hypothesis, which says that we learn languages when we use them as tools to understand the world around us. And there's a fascinating corner of the internet with engaging content in your target language made by people who have your best interest in mind as a language learner. The quote-unquote easy languages network of YouTube channels is one such powerhouse that covers 13 languages with thousands of videos with great on-the-street interviews and language deep dives, all of which is in the language that you want to learn. I analyzed transcripts for more than 1,000 of their videos and podcasts with 2 goals. First, does their approach work? And second, if it does, how can we design the best curriculum for how to use this content based on research? Since I've been learning German for 2 years, we're going to be using data from the Easy German team, but this pattern does hold for other languages in their network and other similar YouTube channels, since this is just how languages work. Let's quickly explain the content style used by these channels and then explore how quickly you learn words. There are 3 basic content types made by the Easy German team, all of which are spoken in German. They have their on-the-street interviews with random people about random topics. They have their super easy German or background grammar videos, which are designed more for beginners and are often spoken at a slower pace.
In unserer Wohnung.
And they have the Easy German podcast with bi-weekly episodes, including fun stories, weekly topics, and community questions. By the numbers, there are more than 500 street interview videos, 250 Easy German videos, and more than 450 podcasts. These videos are typically between 5 and 15 minutes long, and the podcasts are usually 30 minutes. It's also important to note that all of their videos also have both German and English subtitles. And now, before we move on to how you can use their content, you may have asked yourself the question, when can you say that you know a word? Do you need to see it 3 times or 50 times? There's plenty of research into this within academia, and while there are differences between adults and children, in general, you need to see a word about 20 times before you can say that you've acquired it. And yes, it's better for you to see it in the real world with more context so that you can actually generate an understanding of it rather than just on a note card as an individual word. When we're discussing the input hypothesis that I mentioned before, one of the main factors is comprehensible input, so input that is understandable to you. So if you need to see a word 20 times to learn it, and let's say that a good goal for fluency is 5,000 words in your target language, then you would need to see a perfectly optimized 100,000 words in the language that you're trying to learn. That's the equivalent of a 400-page book, and that's quite a lot to read in a language you don't understand yet. But before we get to the good news, there's one other piece of bad news, is that not all words show up at the same rate. We've discussed in another video that around 50% of spoken language can be covered by around 100 words in a language. And that fact means that you need to consume a lot more than 100,000 words to see the less common words the 20 times that you need. But now for the good news. If you're spending meaningful time with the language that you want to learn, like the plans that I'm about to describe, then you'll be seeing tens of thousands of words per week. On average, each Easy German interview video has 1,600 words in around 10 minutes, and each podcast has about 5,000 words in just 30 minutes. Now the question becomes, what does the path look like when you start watching and listening in your target language? Let's look at 3 100-day challenges depending on your level and preferences. We'll start simple and assume that for your 100-day challenge, you'll watch 1 video per day, either from the super easy German videos or an interview video. Even if you pause and re-watch, those 5 to 15-minute videos are totally a doable daily goal. We'll do the following. For the first 30 days, you'll just watch the super easy German videos to ease yourself into things. For the next 30 days, you'll alternate days between the super easy German and the interview videos. And for the last 40 days, you'll just watch those interviews. On the first day, you'll already see the words the and to be the 20 times you need, but that's it. After 50 days, you'll have learned the words understand and meaning, along with 337 other words. After this first 100-day challenge is up, you'll have seen 136,000 total words, including 8,000 unique words. Along the way, your vocabulary will have grown to 633 words, which, again, according to research, is any word that you've seen 20 or more times. And that's not too bad for just 3 months of watching YouTube. Now it's time for the second 100-day challenge, and let's up the ante. What happens if you watch 100 days of just street interviews and also include 2 podcasts per week? Now we're talking. In that same 100-day period, you would come across more than 400,000 total words, and your vocab would be over 1,100 words. And now for the third 100-day challenge, let's propose a little bit of an alternative curriculum. Many people enjoy rewatching content in their target language to maximize what they learn through reinforcement. This third 100-day challenge is similar to the second. You start with 1 interview video each day and 2 podcasts per week, but each day you also watch the previous day's interview video as well. If you can handle the repetition, this does indeed supercharge your learning. In this 100-day challenge, you'll be exposed to 840,000 total words, and your vocab will grow to more than 1,500 words. These are 3 promising plans to choose from, and there are a couple other lessons here. Each of these plans stabilizes at a constant rate of new vocabulary. Since I think that the second plan with only the video interviews and the podcast is the most compelling, let's extend this to 6 months or a year. Your vocabulary continues to grow at a steady rate. That's freaking awesome. Once you build up enough momentum and you can enjoy content in your language, you can let your enjoyment continue to build your vocabulary. Despite what the internet might tell you, 100 days is not enough to learn a language. Even if you join a course and watch 3 hours of TV in your target language every day, 100 days will only get you so far. And these plans that we're discussing don't factor you speaking. I say this to temper expectations so you can approach learning a language with a dose of manageable reality and not just what books or language influencers are trying to sell you. And yes, it's also important to call out a few limitations of this approach. The first, and maybe the most obvious, is that the early stages of learning a language may be slower than this simple model predicts. For example, when you watch a video in your target language, you may only catch a few words in every sentence, so it would be hard to say that every time a word comes up, it should be counted towards that magic 20. On the other hand, it could be that as you advance in your target language, you may only need to see words 5 or 10 times to properly learn them. Limitation number 2 is that you'll want more variety in the type of content that you consume. Since the videos and podcasts that I analyzed for this all come from the same YouTube channel and they have the same 3 regular hosts, you're going to be learning based on their vocabulary, their speech patterns, and their interests. But the fix here is relatively simple. If you watch videos from other channels and podcasts from other content producers, you'll get more varied vocabulary. And if you add videos, podcasts, and books from another genre, that will also help you build your skills. Another limitation is that yes, there are ways to learn vocabulary faster, especially for those less common words. I personally use and recommend using Anki to learn new words, which is how I learned 10,000 words in German alongside my reading and watching. And the last limitation here is that we're talking about videos and podcasts, and speaking uses different words than writing. So this approach may not prepare you for reading the way that you would want it. We'll explore this in a separate video, but know that you do get different things from watching and listening versus reading. Before doing all this research and coding for the video, I knew that I loved the Easy German YouTube channel, but I couldn't explain why. Overall, besides falling in love with the team there, this is such a compelling argument for why their content is successful. In my mind, they are the best German learning YouTube channel and potentially resource in the entire world because what they make is so engaging. And like I mentioned, they're part of a network with 13 other common languages. I don't think that any one of the Easy Languages teams would say that you should exclusively watch their content. You will get so much vocabulary and familiarity with your target language by listening, reading, and watching other things as well. But now we've got some solid data that shows just how effective the Easy Languages content can be if you sit back, relax, and enjoy.